Attention. Due to the nature of the films discussed, the Civil Gore podcast may contain adult language and themes.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 122 of the Civil Gore podcast. I am your host, Tim.
You had to think about that for a second.
I was going to say you're a healthy host, Tim, because I am now over my illness.
That's true. Yes, Tim is back, folks. We thought, we knew he was going to come back, but we didn't know how long. But anyway, he's back and he's better than ever. And this is Brian, of course, the other host. We have a jam-packed show. This is an exciting one. This is. And we're making it super long, much to Ken's chagrin, because this is our Black Friday episode. So when you're listening to this, you may be either online shopping, you may be out fighting up all the other crazies out there. So you're going to need this 8-hour show we're doing right now, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole day. No, just kidding. It's not 8 hours, of course, but it will be long because we have a packed episode. And this is one I've been excited for because we actually started planning this a couple of months ago. And I was hoping we would get the episode the way we wanted, and we did. Is one of those episodes that we were pretty much dreaming of that we could do, and that's because we're going to do Chopping Mall. But not only are we going to do Chopping Mall, which one of my all-time favorites, and I think Tim is now one of yours for sure, right?
Oh,
it's
yeah,
right up there. But we also got the amazing KELLI MARONEY to come on and do an interview with us. So we're going to have that for you right before we discuss the movie. So that's an extra bonus that I think, who's not a fan of KELLI MARONEY? This will be like a treat. Yes,
this is going to be a fantastic episode. And I'm ready to get back because I think it was the first time we've ever taken a week off due to illness.
Yeah, we've had hurricanes. We've had technical issues. Where shows have been recorded and just gotten or glitches and stuff, and we've had to delay the show, but never did we actually. Yeah, this is our first illness. That's not bad for 3 years.
No, not bad for 3 years, and the reason primarily was not because I felt bad, but it wasn't like I was like in flu, pneumonia, like dire straits or anything, but I was coughing and sneezing, and I was like, that doesn't fit well with a podcast.
No, because
or sniffling and.
Yeah, and you whether or not this puts any extra pressure on you, but I am the one with the obnoxious, loud voice. You need to be full dulcet tones at all times.
Right.
You don't have the luxury to ever not be dulcety.
Yeah, so that first night, we usually record on Monday nights, I was actually feeling pretty bad. It was one of those colds that just drains you and you're so tired. By 8 o'clock, you're ready to go to bed, that kind of thing, and you're up all night because you're not sleeping well. And so we decided we were just going to push it to like Thursday. And then when Thursday rolled around, I wasn't doing the coughing fit and the sneezing, and I told Brian, I was like, I just can't do it. Like it would be an editing nightmare, and we had no time to edit.
Yeah,
doing it on Thursday night.
Yeah, that's not the kind of raw show we ever want to give. I mean, yeah, we don't mind doing a raw show every now and then where there's some goofs and flubs, but Tim basically projectile vomiting into your living room audibly is not what you want to hear.
No, nobody wants that. So yeah, we decided to push it off, and that's okay because we're not taking a break over Thanksgiving. We're releasing a show on Thanksgiving week, so it kind of worked out.
Yeah, and and then we'll have 3 shows right in. I mean, might as well just touch on this. We'll have 3 shows in after, and keep an eye out because by the time you listen to this, the survey should be up there, or it might even be completed depending on how long it is. But we have 3 Christmas themed episodes, and we're gonna give you guys kind of the option. We're gonna put 4 holiday movies out there, and whichever get the 3 highest votes are gonna be done for the 3 weeks. So we're gonna kind of make it a little interactive for the holiday season.
Because I'll tell you what, we've done so many of the classic horror Christmas movies that now we're kind of getting into some of the more obscure stuff that I've never seen, and maybe some of you out there have never seen before either.
Yeah, and I feel like last year was it just the way the holidays fell that I felt like we got 4 in last year, I think, or did we have 3 also? I can't remember. It seems like we've done a lot. Maybe it just could all blend in from the last couple of years. I think. Oh wait, Thanksgiving was early last year, wasn't it? That may be why.
Might have been. That might have been why. Yeah. Yeah, it seems like the holidays are going super fast this year. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because I'm so busy and it's crazy. Work's crazy. Everything's crazy.
So. There's a lot coming up. I mean, we got We have Rise of Skywalker in just a month away, or less than a month away, I should say. And the regular holiday season, there's just a lot of cool stuff. As we get to in our first chop, we've been very busy too during this time, which you'll hear. So
yeah. So speaking of which, let's kick it right off with our first chop. All right, Brian. So as I was laying there dying in bed, sick, I had nothing better to do than to watch one of my 40 Years of Terror projects. And surprisingly, you may be shocked by this, but the 1980s are the bulk of my films remaining, or 80s films, which is not a bad thing. I like saving the best for last. But the one I chose was one I had seen mentioned on the 91 Reasons podcast page. I'm a big fan of that podcast. It's hosted by Jeff Tucker.
The Voice.
He's the Voice. Jeff Tucker, he's a child of the 80s. He talks about his family growing up in the 80s, 80s horror movies, reviews. Fantastic podcast. I've been listening to it for years. And he posts a lot of funny or just unique and interesting 80s pictures on his Facebook page. And he posted the cover art, VHS cover for this one. And I hadn't realized I had never seen this movie. And it's called Dead and Buried from 1981.
Well, that's right. The heyday of when those 80s movies were it seems like that from 80 to 82, so much came out.
Yeah. So this one is very unique. I was expecting going into it, I knew nothing about this movie. Going into it, I expected, just a typical early 80s slasher because that's what most of them were back then, or something with, teens running from a killer, that kind of thing. I was completely surprised and shocked that this is a way more interesting movie and deep movie than I ever expected. And it stars the great Jack Albertson, who most of y'all know as Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And he does a fantastic turn as a mortician in this movie. But this movie is basically about a town where these townsfolk are killing people that wander into the town. And as you might expect, there's hints of supernatural stuff going on, and there's a reason behind all this. But you have someone investigating these murders that keep happening in this quiet little fishing village. And like I said, Jack Albertson plays the mortician who is helping uncover all these secrets and mysteries. It's a neat, twisty-turny movie. It has some fantastic effects, fantastic practical effects in this. There's one effect in here that it was almost jaw-dropping when I saw it.
Oh, wow.
There's some that are not, there's some that are obviously a little cheesy for the time, but they're still good. You can still appreciate them. There's one in here that, and I won't give it away, that was really, really astounding. It was so, so good. So I would highly recommend Dead and Buried, 1981. Not only is it a fantastic story, great kills, great performances, but it's just so unique and different from a lot of the other movies that were coming out in the early 80s that I just absolutely loved it.
That's cool. I saw Melody Anderson from Flash Gordon fame.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And Robert Englund. I saw he was the
Robert Englund has a little cameo in there as well. Yep.
Wow, that's a nice little chunk of the 80s. And I saw Barry Corbin was listed there too. This is a good cast in this. I might have to look at this one later.
Yeah, and I want to say it's it's been so long since I watched it because it was 2 weeks ago. It may be on Prime. If not, it's fairly cheap to rent, and I do highly recommend it. One thing I did want to say is that I'm going to my Jeff Goldblum. One thing I was just hesitating because I lost my train of thought there. Maybe I'll just do some Jeff Goldberg moans. Or,
Jeff Goldberg.
Yeah, geez, I've been watching Goldberg. I've been watching the Goldbergs as well.
Did you see that they had the Planes, Trains, and Automobiles episode the other day? That was
we still got to do that, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just going to put in some moans while I'm thinking about. Let me think about what I was going to say. Okay, I don't remember, but yeah, fantastic movie. Regardless, go check it out.
Nice,
lots of fun. Oh, I was going to say, I remember what it was. I was going to say, I love finding these undiscovered gems from the 80s because just when you think you've seen everything, and then the one comes along and just blows you away. It was really cool.
Yeah, well, that's what's so good about, I think, what we have now out there with so many streaming services. You get all of those options, and you find these things because, Prime and Shudder, and they're great with those 80s stuff. Netflix is more recent, stuff.
Yeah.
It seems like, but definitely Prime and Shudder and Tubi. They get a lot of the good stuff from the '80s to find.
Yeah, and that stuff you're never gonna find that at Redbox.
No, you're not finding that.
Yeah. All right, Brian. So, what did you check into? You had a ton of stuff. It looks like you watched over the.
Yeah,
over the break.
I did a lot of stuff, and the funny thing, it was all in that first week. But it's I really get to watch as much this last week because it was Tim apparently did the same thing. We started getting geared up for Rise of Skywalker by rewatching all the Star Wars movies and stuff, and after I go through a couple of things I watched, you'll see another thing that preoccupied us during this 2 weeks, But yeah, so one of the first things I watched, and this was one I've always been dying to see. I think Ken had mentioned watching it also, but what really cemented was when I listened to the Kim and Ket's episode on this.
Yeah, that was a great episode.
Yeah, that was one of their all-time classics, definitely. And that was the Taking of Deborah Logan. And was this a great found footage creep fest?
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Really, really liked this one. This was... it's one of those ones that, I just, even though I kind of knew what was coming, actually, I stopped the episode midway because it sounded so cool, and I'm like, let me just watch it, and then I went back to the episode. So it was great, the movie and the episode. But the movie was just really good, especially if you like found footage. This one is definitely one of the best ones out there because it almost at some points you forget you're watching a found footage at some level because you get so thrown into the story you almost forget the format it's in, and that to me is always a good sign of a found footage is when you just get so caught up in the moment of the movie that you forget you're watching a gimmick. And
it's a very unique premise for a found footage as well.
Yeah,
which I really like.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some some emotional punch to it that's not normally found in those found footages. Usually it's like there's a whole story and then there's a backstory and then just the found footage element of it. So yeah, I definitely recommend that. That was one of the favorites I've seen this year. That's right up at the top of some of the new movies I saw this year. Another one I saw, and this one, I obviously just because where I live, growing up on Long Island, I've always been fascinated with the Amityville mysteries and horrors and whatever variation of the movies. I mean, granted, there are some out there that just kind of slap the Amityville title on. Like there's one, I think it's called, I saw it on Prime, it was the Amityville Mount Misery Road. Now, basically, they took Amityville, because it's more known, and took another extremely haunted section, which I think I discussed way back in season 1 when we did our real horror stories from our area.
Yeah.
And and I happen to work nearby Mount Misery Road. It is nowhere. It's down the street about 20 minutes from Amityville and 3-4 towns over, essentially. So it's kind of funny that they just tag that in there to where Mount Misery Road is. But either way, yeah, but anyway, so I like all those. So there are some duds out there, but this one actually, which didn't get good reviews, but it starred one of our favorites, Diane Franklin, and this was her second foray into the world of Amityville, so to speak, because she was also, as you know, she was in Amityville 2: The Possession, and then she came back to play one of the wife of the DeFeos in the Amityville Murders, and this one went more for the the DeFeo murders, not the aftermath, the house. But it was really it almost was it kind of had a little bit of a slow burn to it, but it got picked up, and I actually thought it was a unique take on it, and I actually really enjoyed it. I mean, I thought Diane Franklin was fantastic. I mean, she's always good, but she was really good. And it just had what it is? It had a good cast, and it was just it was a different take for me. It seemed like on the Amityville legend. So it was on. I think I streamed it on HBO or Cinemax, one of those, but it was really good. So if you I really enjoyed it. So if you get a chance, that's one to check out. It's a little different than you're used to probably with a lot of these Amityville ones. It's not like either a made up just a new family going into the house that you've never heard of, or it's not the original storyline. It's it goes back to the original murders, and I think there's some original footage thrown in there at some points too from the newsreel.
Cool.
So that's kind of always fun. One of the other next things I watched is Into the Dark, Pilgrim. And I have not seen these Into the Dark series, but I was kind of in the mood to watch one, and I heard some good things about the one Pilgrim, which is their Thanksgiving one for this year. This thing is awesome. I love this one. It makes me want to watch every single one of these things. So this one, it literally starts off like kind of this hokey thing where this family is kind of, I guess, has lost their way, and the wife wants to kind of piece the family back together. It's a blended family where the mother and father, that's the second marriage. And so the daughter is not getting along with her new stepmom, kind of a thing. And the daughter does get along with her new brother, her half brother, really well. But the father is kind of always preoccupied on his phone doing business, and so she wants to have a traditional Thanksgiving with traditional values. So apparently she's one of these people, I guess, that is like always like the has the parties at the neighborhood, always kind of go. So they all have these flaws, this family. And so they want to just get back to their roots. So she hires these pilgrim impersonators to come and spend Thanksgiving with them, except they just don't break character. And so that's why that's all I'm going to leave it. I'll just say this, though. It starts off pretty kind of creepy and hokey a little bit and turns absolutely batshit crazy for the last 40 minutes in the best way possible. It's just, you got to see this thing. It's so
I'm going to have to watch this tomorrow before Thanksgiving.
You should. But if Olivia had hired some pilgrim people to coming to your house, I would not let them in the door.
Okay.
After seeing this. But yeah, so this one's really good. It has the daughter is played by actually you'll recognize the family. The son I don't know, but the daughter is played by the one from Rain Edwards, the one that was in Hellfest, played the friend.
Oh yeah.
The roommate. She was in that. Kerr Smith plays the father, and Courtney Henliger from Cobra Kai and played Sheldon's sister on The Big Bang Theory, like the adult version, Missy Cooper. So so you'll recognize the cast, and it's really good cast in it. And the main pilgrims are hilarious in this. So yeah, definitely go see that. By the way, I'm not getting a cold, so you don't have to worry, Tim. That was I'm
spreading
water,
it through
funny.
the microphone.
Yeah, you smelled it through. Yeah. One more movie I'll watch, and then I'll get into a quick show. I got to watch 47 Meters Down, Uncaged, which kind of it started off kind of what I expected, but then it just got really, the last half hour is phenomenal of this thing where it's just like you're not quite sure. You pretty much it's. Those things are usually predictable at some level, these type of movies. But towards the end, it just gets like everything you're expecting kind of gets a little bit turned on its head. So it's really, and it just keeps like getting more and more exciting at the end. And it's just it's really well done, actually, I have to say. For it's definitely not as cheesy as I thought. Once I think the first half is, but then it kind of really picks up. So it's definitely another solid entry into that series, which seems like they're kind of doing some kind of like a franchise thing with just that moniker. I mean, I don't know what's going to be next. Is 47 Meters Down in 3D? I don't.
48 meters down.
All right, 48. Yeah, maybe 48 meters down. One more meter, but. And the final thing I'll go into before we get to our next topic is Julie and I had recorded on our DVR, and we watched everything. We're down now one episode behind because we just did not watch the latest one, but that show Evil on CBS, which is actually really cool. It's basically this clinical psychologist joins up with a priest and this like techie kind of guy, regular blue collar kind of techie guy, and they basically try and go to these situations where there are either supposed miracles or a demonic possession or really strange occurrences, and they basically go to prove if there's a scientific explanation to it or could it really be the supernatural. And it's just really cool each episode because they're teasing you the entire time to where you as the viewer are not even sure, and it's like because you could see the way they're not sure, and it's just a really, really cool. The cast is fantastic, and it's just a really engaging show. Julie and I are hooked. We like totally binged all the episodes that we had on the DVR within like 2 days. I think it was like 6 or 7 episodes, and had a really creepy Halloween episode because there's actually she's got the main character, she's also got 4 daughters that she's not a single parent, but her husband, I guess, is right in the storyline, is off climbing mountains or something. He I guess to make money, he leads like mountain expeditions. So it's like there's a lot going on, and there's a lot still not revealed yet. So, and they kind of give you little tastes of each of what's going on in the background with the characters each episode. But it's just a really good show. I definitely think you should check that out, Tim, if you haven't seen any yet.
No, I haven't. That sounds cool.
Yeah,
I
think
like Fringe and X-Files. It sounds like it's kind of in that vein.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of, remember that show Scorpion that was on?
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like a little supernatural twist Scorpion kind of a thing, where it's like the 3 characters, like they're not necessarily, they kind of all have their own little expertise and they're kind of doing their thing, and and each episode they have to do something, but there's also a linear storyline going on at the same time too. And the guy that played Benjamin Linus on Lost is in this as a really.
I really like him.
Yeah, he's for some reason, I'm sorry, I forgot his his name just skipped my head right now. But Michael Emerson, sorry, and he's like a really nefarious character in this.
Oh,
so
that's great.
Yeah, I think you'd really enjoy this show.
Nice. Well, over the break, a big occurrence happened, Brian, and one that we were very excited for, not only because we were big fans of Star Wars and Marvel and Disney and streaming services.
Yeah, pretty much. What don't we? What in this group does not have something of our interest?
Exactly. So of course, Disney Plus streaming service came out. I believe it was 10 million subscribers day one. I signed up the night before, was ready to go when it launched that day. Had a little bit of hiccups, but they got them ironed out pretty quickly. And they're still improving. I've noticed little improvements here and there.
Yeah, I think they got the resume feature back over the weekend.
Yeah, there was a broken resume feature there for a little bit. I'm still having an issue with Chrome, and it may just be my current Chrome where it hitches every 10 seconds or so, and I think it may be one of my add-ins or something. But it works fine on Edge or Internet Explorer, so I don't think it's the service per se.
But Chrome has always been glitchy with everything else other than Chrome.
Yeah. So I don't know. So that may be my fault because I do have quite a few add-ins. But let's talk Disney Plus. So of course, the big show that me and Brian were excited for was The Mandalorian.
Which, did you see, broke the record for Strange? It's the first time since Stranger it broke the most downloaded records after Stranger Things. So that's pretty impressive. I mean, and yeah, so this show is everything I wanted and way more, actually. This show is incredible.
Yeah, the first the pilot, I liked it. Don't get me wrong, but I was a little hesitant because I'd never seen Star Wars on television in a television format where you don't have the big multi-million-dollar budget and it's not animated. So you've got this weird situation where you're seeing Star Wars in a way that has never been shown before.
Right.
And I was a little hesitant because it starts off, there's a, I don't want to give any spoilers here. There's an alien in the first episode that reminded me a lot of something like out of Star Trek. And I was a little turned off by that. I was like, is this going to end up looking like some kind of Star Trek?
Yeah, did you know who that was, by the way? That's Horatio Sands playing that alien.
Oh, was it? Really?
Yeah.
I did not recognize him at all. But so I was like, is this going to be kind of like, is this going to come off like a bad episode of like Star Trek Voyager or something? And I was a little hesitant, but let me tell you, after you get past like that first 10 minutes or whatever, the first episode, and then especially on into episodes 2 and 3, big moments, no mistake, this is pure Star Wars. It is awesome. It is everything I could ever hope for a live action Star Wars show, which frankly, I was very skeptical they could pull it off, and they have.
Yeah, and it's a storyline where you've seen 3 episodes and you still don't know exactly where it's going. You're finally starting to get towards a character arc, obviously now at this point. I won't go into details about that for those who haven't seen it, but I can't imagine that anyone listening to this show hasn't really seen it that wants to see it because it's been so popular and so many people have watched it and downloaded it. But it's just that it's amazing when you literally have not seen the main character's face, yet he still does such a good job that you can get he's so expressive without ever seeing his face, because of course he's under the Mandalorian armor. And it's so funny. I think episodes 2 and episodes 3, they each have their own like little tagline now that I've been repeating all the time.
Yeah.
They have their own like new sayings and stuff. So it's just Jon Favreau. I tell you, he's obviously, I mean, I've heard rumors that if Kathleen Kennedy ever steps down, like him and Dave Filoni are going to be, and one other person are going to basically be the heads of Lucasfilm. And after you see what Jon Favreau has done with the Star Wars universe now, I mean, hey, you're in good hands. I mean, he's done this great. He played the character in Solo, which he was great.
I'll tell you what I love about Jon Favreau is he is a crowd pleaser. He knows how to construct a fun crowd pleasing story. Like everything he touches, he just has that magic touch of how to make something entertaining.
Yeah, even as an actor, when he was D-Bob and Rudy, for God's sake, he was one of the he was so fun in that. I mean,
he's fantastic. The other shows on there, of course, are The World According to Jeff Goldblum, which is phenomenal. I mean, he can take a subject which I care nothing about, like sneakers. Unless they're running shoes, because I do run. But other than that, like I care nothing about collecting and all that kind of stuff. And he can just make it completely fascinating because he's just so Jeff Goldblum.
Well, like he says it. He even says, he goes, people like me, my sense of whimsy, and he does that whole thing. And it's like, I realized, I was just like thinking on the way home, like about this episode, and, we're going to talk about it. And I'm just like, Jeff Goldblum, I literally think I could watch him do anything. Like, wouldn't you love to just hear him like do like an album of Christmas carols? Like, can't you picture like Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you can even say it glows. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. And then like he'll just go on, and then he'll start in the middle and like dissect it. He'll be like, they wouldn't. They wouldn't laugh and call him names, and then he'll be like, "Now you have a gift. He's got a red nose, and it's stupendous and wonderful, and they don't want him to use the gift. And then,
he like gets this faraway look in his eyes, and you can just tell he's just thinking about it.
Yeah, and I know that was a horrible Jeff Goldblum impersonation I did, but I was trying to get the essence of him, because even in this show he'll go on and like he'll just start like humming like tunes and singing these little random songs, and he's hand in hand dancing frolicking with people in the park. I mean, this show is like worth every penny. Between this and The Mandalorian, if that's all I got with Disney Plus, I think I'd say that's $7 a month well spent.
Yeah, one thing I like about the show is we all know Jeff Goldblum, the character, the eccentricities and stuff we see, but when you watch the show, you could tell he's not putting on a character. He's not trying to be Jeff Goldblum necessarily all the time. I mean, that's just really how he is. He's just like that, and he's really cool. He's a super cool fashion guy. I mean, I looked up the jacket that he wore in the first episode because I wanted one, and it's $8,000. So that's not going to happen anytime soon unless the podcast money starts rolling in.
Yeah, Patreon. By the way, we're also here announcing our Patreon page.
Yeah, you can fund my Jeff Goldblum jacket.
Yes, there is, and the highest tier is the $8,000 a month Jeff Goldblum tier.
where we will never do any more Jeff Goldblum impressions on the show ever again.
Yes,
that's your
and
reward.
As the bonus, Tim will arrive in his newly purchased Jeff Goldblum jacket to clean your house.
Yeah, exactly.
So, he is like that's the thing. He seems like he loves the fans and they love him, and he's just so like this show is like my only drawback is I want like every episode at once. I can't wait a week in between them. It's tough.
Yeah, some of the other stuff I've watched. I know you watched Imagineering. I have held off.
Is that a great show?
I've held off on that one. I want to watch it, but I'm kind of waiting to binge all those at one time.
So I will say one thing about that show. Now, obviously, it is a Disney streaming service. So it's a Disney made documentary. So there is obviously it's very, I mean, they go into a little bit of, bad, but like when they go into certain things that I know the history of already, they kind of gloss over any like unsavory things that Disney may have played a part in things.
Yeah,
It's kind of funny, but it's to be expected. That's like the only knock, and that's not really a knock. It's more of an observation. I get it. You're not gonna go and
Bash your own
present
property,
yourself
yeah.
and say, by the way, I won the race, but I tripped the guy in third place about midway through. You didn't see it, but I did it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I haven't watched that one. I did watch Encore, which is a reality show about Kristen Bell gets a group of high school kids that did some kind of play or did a musical, and then she revisits them like 10 or 20 years later, and they have to put the musical on again as adults.
I got to see that. That's probably fun.
And it's really fascinating. When I first watched it, I was like, this is embarrassing for all involved. Because just because you were in musicals in high school doesn't mean you're in musicals when you're 28, right? So, or 38. Doesn't mean you can still sing. And so I was, at first you're kind of watching this kind of cringing the whole time because some of these people are just not, that wasn't their lot in life, to be on the stage. But it has a very strong heart to it and a lot of emotion to it. And let me just say, when the payoff comes and you see these people out there performing this and seeing their families and how proud everybody is, it definitely makes it worth it. It's a very heartwarming show. So I recommend Encore as well. It's kind of, don't be turned off by the cringiness of it because it really is a very sweet show when you get to the end of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, just overall, Disney, I mean, there's stuff I haven't discovered yet. Just some of the classic movies on there, too.
Yeah.
Who was talking about that? But the Black Hole, was it Ken was talking about
Yeah,
that? That's on there.
That Blackbeard's Ghost I want to watch. I've never heard of that one.
I watched Gus. Gus was one of my favorites. Remember that with the field goal kicking mule, like donkey? With and that had a who's who of characters in that. That was a classic cast in that.
The old Don Knotts stuff, like the Apple Dumpling Gang and all that
yeah.
stuff's on there. Now, I'm not one to really, I've seen the Disney animated stuff so many times. I'm not going to go back and watch that. And honestly, my kids really aren't into the Disney animated movies very much. They just never have gotten into those. They'll watch, Frozen. They just went and saw Frozen 2. That kind of stuff. But, the older, 2D animated stuff, they don't really care about. So that piece I'm not that interested in, but I am interested in the old cartoons, the old Mickey Mouse cartoons.
Oh yeah,
and a lot of those old live action movies I grew up with, like the original Pete's Dragon,
like That Darn Cat, right?
Yeah, that darn cat, all those cheesy, Return to Witch Mountain, all those, or Escape from Witch Mountain, I guess. And yeah, all those Bed Knobs with Broomsticks, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, all that stuff's great. So I'm gonna go back and watch that at some point. So yeah, I would say. My thing with Disney Plus, I think $7 a month is trivial. Some people may not see that, especially if you got a lot of other streaming services going on. So I can completely understand. To me, it's just The Mandalorian and Goldblum alone is worth $7. But if you're not, then I could definitely see waiting a few months until these series get complete, or at least the season 1 gets complete, and then signing up and just binging those because. You definitely don't want to miss out on The Mandalorian, for God's sake.
No, if you were a Star Wars fan, that's a must. That's worth it alone. And will end up. I think they said it was February or March. That would be is when I guess they get Solo, and The Last Jedi. I think everything comes on. They'll have the complete series. I kind of want them to put if somehow they could dig up and put on the old Star Wars Holiday Special on there. Would be
I know
great.
There is a good YouTube version out there if you want to see.
Oh that. Yeah, no, and I have a videotape version years ago, and I might have a DVD bootleg of it somewhere. I got it at a convention. But the best part about that is the one of the versions I had still is complete with all the old commercials from the time.
Oh,
so it's got the original Kenner action figure commercial where it's C-3PO's R2, it's a little you. But and then there's just old cool thing. And it's funny, one of the things is the news. Remember the news bumpers that used to go on, we'll see this at 11, like that. Well, the one that happened to be during the Star Wars special kept going, fighting the Frizzies tonight at 11. So got it. Whatever that was. Apparently, there's a big frizz problem with hair. That's
when they had slow news days. Remember those
Yeah,
things?
really, seriously. But I remember one of the coolest commercials that used to be on there is the Attack Track. Remember that toy?
Oh, I
Where it was
love
like
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the commercial for that is on there.
That was my best. That was my favorite toy. One of my favorite toys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, there were some toys back then that you wonder. It's like, it was so advanced for the time. Why did it take so long to get to where we are now with toys?
Yeah.
When that had so many like cool features at that point, because you could program it. Remember that? And it would bring you like a snack. Like you
Oh.
could go with that little add-on thing. It was cool.
Oh yeah. So anyway, Disney Plus, absolutely love it, and I think it will be more value when they start getting the Marvel original series out. Those will, of course, will bring a lot more value to the service if you're on the fence.
Yeah, the one I'm looking forward to actually that is the Marvel What If.
Yeah,
One, which will be cool. And Star Wars used to have a comic that did that, and I was thinking, I said, "Why? That's what they should do as a future Star Wars series." I know they have 2 others, possibly 3, because I heard a rumored Darth Maul series coming out, but I haven't seen much about it since the original report.
There's a She-Hulk series.
Oh,
and I love
that'll be
She-Hulk.
cool. Yeah.
So that would be cool.
Oh, that'll be awesome. Yeah, no, for Marvel fans too. Like, you got the tip of the iceberg yet with what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
So,
so speaking of streaming on another service, Netflix, I started watching and binging the Boulet Brothers Dragula. Now, Brian, if you have not seen this, I will say this is of a lot of interest to horror fans. I did not know there was a horror drag world, a drag queen horror thing. That's a thing. And the Boulet Brothers are, I believe they ran this show, or they had this kind of performance in some of the clubs in New York, and then they ended up bringing it to YouTube for season 1 and made a reality competition out of it. And it's to find, and what they call it is they find their next drag monster. So you can kind of look at it as like a RuPaul drag race, but horrified. And they're looking for drag queen performers that can also do like really cool horror stuff on top of it, and they have this really neat aesthetic. Their costumes are incredible. The Boulet Brothers, like they come out in each episode in these costumes that a lot of times are like retro horror, sci-fi inspired, Rocky Horror. I mean, these are things that are just super
oh
cool.
yeah, I'm looking at some on IMDb. That's crazy.
Yeah,
the way
and
they.
The contestants in these shows are so talented, makeup wise. The only knock I have against the show is they don't show a lot of the preparation that these guys go through in getting dressed up like this. Because I would love to see how they do some of this makeup and stuff, because they're extremely, extremely talented.
And there's no like special features or anything like where they show that, or
I don't think so. The production value is a little weird. It's a little wonky. You can tell it's kind of a low budget reality show produced. But it's and there's a lot of drama and stuff like you would get with any reality competition, and there's a lot of staging and stuff. But for horror fans, you're gonna absolutely love it, because when a contestant is eliminated, they actually they have to play themselves as a victim in a horror movie, and so they get killed off at the end of the episode in some unusual way. And the losers, like the people that are in like the bottom 3 of each round, have to do some incredibly crazy things. Like in the first episode, they had to get piercings, like needles. You know when they put like needles in your skin? I mean, not like a piercing, like just jabbing needles and skewers into your skin. And the person who could take the least amount of those was going to be eliminated.
Oh my God, that's pretty hardcore. There.
Yeah, and in one of them they have to get tattoos, and whoever gets the most embarrassing tattoo. So these are hardcore punishments you get for being in the bottom tier.
I thought the Impractical Jokers were bad. This is right. It says I looked on IMDb. It says their names are Dracmorda and Swanthula.
Yeah. They go by the Boulet Brothers on the show, but that's their actual stage names. The horror element though, and this is really, really good. Like if you're a horror fan, like they have some of the topics might be like Old West horror, or it might be retro sci-fi horror, and then they got to come out and basically play these characters that are not only fit the theme, but also kind of incorporate their drag style into it. It's incredible. I would highly recommend this show. It's really entertaining.
I
Now,
gotta watch this.
Netflix does not have season 1 because I believe that was a YouTube production. I have not looked at it on YouTube to see if it's out there. It may be available out there for free. I don't know. But Netflix does have seasons 2 and 3. So I would definitely recommend. I'm almost to the end of season 2 right now, and it's pretty wild, pretty entertaining.
Yeah. Oh, and so yeah, I'm gonna look at I'll look at it because YouTube. I think I know that a lot of stuff that was available on the YouTube Red, like after a while, it just goes regular for you to see it on YouTube TV where you don't have to pay. So that's usually years later. But I think this sounds like this was around for a while, so it might be able to do it.
So Brian, I did not get a chance to check out the new short film from Sarah Giersky. Unfortunately, I just didn't have time today, but I would like to hear your impressions of it.
Yeah, no, it's really good. It's a short, so I mean, I really can't go into much without basically telling you the film. So I won't say other than it's really well done, 80s kind of retro, cool little. I mean, I guess like a type of a slasher. Actually, it's called Create Your Killer. It's got a neat aesthetic where they kind of take. Like it's almost like you definitely feel like it's in a very 80s vibe, and I mean it's involving like this VCR tape that they find that's like kind of acts like one of those old VCR games where you have to select things.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like a really cool thing, and basically it's just they find this thing. It's a game of a VCR game basically called Create Your Killer, and so. That's all I want to say about it, but because it's short, I don't want to go into the actual details. I want you to get to see it, and also our listeners see it. But yeah, you definitely should watch it. Sarah and her co-host from the Bitches of Horror YouTube show star in it. Really, really well done. She's a really good filmmaker and does some good effects too. So definitely check it out. It's it's actually I don't know if it's out yet. I have to find out. We were sent an early copy, so we will let you know as soon as it's available to be seen. But they had reached out and sent it to us, and we're big fans of Sarah's anyway, just from her Instagram and her YouTube and her other film, Sargad, which you have to see that yet. That's right, Tim. I gotta lend you that to see it. That's right. So she's really good indie horror director and makeup artist. So. Yes, it's called Create Your Killer, so keep an eye out for it, and we'll let you know as soon as it's available for everyone to see. But I really enjoyed it, and yeah, you know how I love my horror shorts anyway. So it was definitely a great one.
Yeah, and then finally we have a New Jersey HorrorCon update. The cast of Terrifier. Tell us about this one, Brian, because I know you're very excited about this.
Oh yeah, so it was funny. I kind of saw it developing, and where they first announced Jenna Cannell. Who she was the main out of the two girls that kind of got stranded in the building. She was the one wearing the skeleton costume, and that Art kind of had a little infatuation for. So she was announced, and I said, "Oh, okay, that's good. That's I assumed David would go because he always he seems to attend this show a lot, but they hadn't announced him yet. And the next they announced was Catherine. I'm going to hopefully say her name right, Corcoran. And of course she was the blonde that couldn't stay around, so she had to split. So yeah, she was a very, very famous sequence in that film. So when I saw them, I'm like, wow, the two girls from the Terrifier. Well, actually, there's one more, but I don't know if she's going to be there. She hasn't been announced yet. But so I'm like, it's Diana Scafaldi. But anyway, so they have those two. And I said, oh, as a joke, I said, hey, Tim, maybe they're doing a Terrifier cast show. And sure enough, right after that, DHT, David Howard Thornton, of course, plays Art the Clown, and also the director and effects guy, and actually all-around good guy too himself. Damien Leone is going to be there, so they have the whole Terrifier cast. And if there's a photo, I told Tim already, if there is a photo of the entire cast, that's the one I'm springing for this year. We need to have that because that'll be awesome. Really cool. So yeah, that's going to be a fun little thing because. I mean, everyone, especially, of course, with Terrifier 2 in production now. And actually, I don't know if you've seen this, but if you look on David's Facebook page, he does these things where while he's getting his makeup put on by Damien, he's telling all these dad jokes. Oh, and nice. It's hilarious. It's so funny. Like, and it's like broken down, like joke number 1 or part 1, joke 2. And he actually said David used one of my all-time favorite ones where it's that one. Remember, what do you call a fish with no eyes?
Yeah.
So so I was very excited he told that one. Yeah, so check that out on his Facebook page because as you know, they still have not let him back on Twitter, which is blasphemy. I don't understand it. But yeah, so that I'm looking forward to. That show is shaping up already to be a great one, and we're not even at the end of the year yet. So, and of course that's March.
Hey,
So
Brian,
we will keep you posted. Yes.
did you know that I used to have a fear of speed bumps, but I slowly
No.
got over it?
Boy.
That's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites. Come on. Come
No,
on.
I know that's a good one. It's good. Well, it's like you know, I like I told you, right? I used to be extremely shy, and until I started studying rocks, and then I got a little bolder. So, yeah, okay. We'll let you guys just stew on that one there for a while.
Really.
There.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So let's get to our very short list of Blu-rays for the week of December 3rd. This is our Discmemberment.
Wait, no, please, God. No, don't cut off my...
All right, guys. I'm going to run down the releases from last week very quickly, since we didn't get to tell you about them last week, and I won't go into a great big bit of detail on these since we're going to have a long show today. But I think it's worth. Some of these are worth picking up. My pick of the week was actually Dracula from 1979. This is a Shout Factory edition, and this is a pretty unique take on the whole Dracula thing, and seeing a kind of a, I want to say modern. It's 1979, but it's a different take from the traditional Bela Lugosi Dracula. I think I like seeing different versions of Dracula. Of course, the summary is in 1913, the charming, seductive, and sinister vampire Count Dracula travels to England in search of an immortal bride. And this is a fantastic disc. It's got introductions, interviews, tons of interviews, an audio commentary with director John Badham. It's got 2 discs. Actually, the second disc is the original theatrical color timing, and the first disc is the desaturated color timing. I don't really know what that means, but if you cinema geeks out there may get some get some more excitement out of that. And the second disc actually has the new audio commentary by our good friend and film historian Konstantin Nazer, and a new introduction by director John Badham, and then all your theatrical trailers, radio spots, still gallery, that kind of stuff. So that was my pick of the week for last week.
Yeah, that was mine too. And it's funny, I was going to buy it and I decided to hold off because I realized it just, with the holidays coming up, I usually get some sort of Amazon gift card or something. And I realized I'm like, you know what? I want to kind of leave some stuff out there if people are struggling, because I think I might have been on, I think I might have just transferred it to my wish list. So because there's a lot, and plus there's a lot of stuff coming out in the next couple of weeks. And I figured that's a good disc that I can put on either a wish list or use a gift card for. So not that I didn't want it. Of course I wanted it. I think I'm gonna wait and because it'll be available. And it's funny too, because this is the one that I told that story. Remember, I think I told it a couple times on the show where my mom took me to see that 'cause she couldn't get a babysitter. And I still remember being in the theater getting so creeped out as he was crawling up the building.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
So it's really cool.
Next up, we had Don't Let Go from Universal Studios. That was the recent release about a man's family. His family dies in what appears to be a murder, and he gets a phone call from one of the dead, who is his niece, and he's not sure if he's going mad or if she's a ghost. So this one actually looked really cool from the trailer.
Yeah, this is a good trailer.
Prophecy from 1979. This is another Shout Factory release. This one sounds really, really cool. A log company's waste mutates the environment, creating a giant killer bear monster. And the trailer for this one's you don't get to see a lot. All you get to see is basically blacks. The one I watched, Brian, I don't know if it's the one I linked, but it was just basically a black screen talking about the formation of this bear monster. You never got to see the actual monster or anything. But this one has a bunch of new interviews and theatrical trailer, radio spots. So not a complete collector's edition, but still one I actually really want to check out.
Yeah, there's one really cool feature on there. If you saw that one, Bear and Grin It, it's like the play on the Grin and Bear It. It's an interview with writer David Seltzer. I don't know if you saw that one, but David Seltzer, it's really bubbly and exciting interviewing. So you walked right into that.
I did. Yeah, sorry.
Actually, I think I dragged you into that one. Actually, you didn't.
This one looked very interesting. This one's called Mary. This is another recent release. I believe it's 2018 or 2019. This one has Gary Oldman in it. and it's about a haunted boat.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because of the most obvious special feature ever.
Yeah.
The Making of Mary.
The Making of Mary. A family looking to start a charter boat business buys a ship that holds terrifying secrets once out on isolated waters. And the best way I can describe this trailer is that it looked like Christine if Christine was a boat instead of a car. And it has Gary Oldman. Who knew? So I really want to see that one. This one, another one I really want to see. You guys know the whole clown scare of a year or two back. Well, actually, this came to life recently near me in North Carolina. There was a guy that was arrested, and this just happened like the other day. He was arrested for dressing in a clown costume, and he was out in the middle of the road throwing stuff at cars, and then they caught him peeking in people's windows.
Yikes.
Yeah, dressed as a clown. So they ended up arresting the guy, and I don't know who it was, but this is kind of based on the whole clown scare, which I believe either originated or became popularized by this man in Green Bay, Wisconsin, who was roaming the streets dressed as a clown. And there were YouTube videos of this guy out there and dash cam videos of this guy. And this is a horror film that, I don't know if this is like I think this is like a horror, maybe a faux documentary type thing based on this guy. And it's called Gags the Clown. It's from 2018, directed by Adam Krause. And the trailer looks really, really cool. It's got a feature commentary. It's got the original short film gags that these filmmakers made. And a 360-degree short film. I don't know how that works on a TV, but yeah, so really, really cool. And this one I kind of want to see just because I'm fascinated by the whole clown scare stuff, because clowns don't scare me, really. So I'm interested in how they scare people.
Yeah, this one's kind of, I kind of want to see this myself. So, but yeah, I don't know how I'll rush out to go see it, but, rush and grab it, but,
Yeah. Then we had Stay Out, Stay Alive from 2019. Shadowed by a haunting presence in the Redwood Forest, 5 young hikers discover an abandoned gold mine dating back to the gold rush and descend into madness and greed as the pursuit of easy riches consumes them. This one kind of had a little bit of a Descent vibe to me. It looked pretty cool. I actually kind of want to see this one. Actually looked pretty interesting.
Well, we like our Gravitas Ventures.
Yeah. They always have some good stuff. And then finally we had Bloodstalkers, a.k.a. The Night Daniel Died from 1976, Garage House Pictures.
And that was going to be my guess.
That was going to be your guess. I don't even actually remember what this one was about, actually, because I had your guess on there.
Yeah, and I don't remember what my guess was going to be, other than that something doesn't go well for a man named Daniel.
Yeah, it has an audio commentary. It's got a documentary short, some liner notes, unproduced screenplay, The Mansion of Terror, which sounds interesting. So check that out. Okay. So those were the discs that were released last week, guys. And now we'll get to this week. Only 2 discs this week, so we're still in the slump.
Yeah, and I've ordered 50% of it.
Okay. I
ordered Ready or Not.
I think I can guess which one you ordered.
Yeah.
And it was not Conga, right?
No, it was not.
All right, so...
Although that does look kind of funny.
It does look kind of cool. So, yeah, we have, first up, Ready or Not, obviously our pick of the week. This was from 2019, and this is a 20th Century Fox disc. And this one actually has some pretty good features for a recent movie. It's got The Making of Ready or Not, 3-part documentary on the making of the film, a gag reel, and an audio commentary by Radio Silence and Samara Weaving.
Oh, well, Samara Weaving's awesome, so that's probably a cool commentary to hear her.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. Yeah, and it's kind of rare you get commentaries on brand new discs.
Yeah, especially by but like someone like a Samara Weaving, like just by pretty much, well, I guess by Radio Silence. What is that, a podcast, I guess, or something?
I'm not sure. Probably whoever's moderating it, I
guess. But like the fact that like it seems like she's the feature of it, which is usually they'll have a whole cast ensemble do it or something, or the directors, but that's interesting, just Samara Weaving. And
yeah, and I forgot to mention the synopsis. Of course, if you guys had not seen the trailer for this, which was phenomenal, I really wanted to see this one. A bride's wedding night takes a sinister turn when her eccentric new in-laws force her to take part in a terrifying game. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this one.
Yeah.
And the other one on the list was Conga from 1961. I guess you can guess with a name like Conga what it's about, but I will read you the very entertaining summary. Dr. Decker comes back from Africa after a year, presumed dead. During that year, he came across a way of growing plants and animals to an enormous size. He brings back a baby chimpanzee to test out his theory. As he has many enemies at home, he decides to use his chimp Conga to get rid of them. Then Conga grows to gigantic proportions and wreaks havoc all over the city of London. So it's interesting that this is a chimpanzee that looks exactly like a gorilla.
Yeah, it's funny how they try to fool you. But it's funny, even in the trailer, it literally says, "Not since King Kong." And I'm like, okay, you figure, I mean, and really, they couldn't have come up with another name than
Conga? Yes.
They did call him the gigantic Gargantua or something, or they had another nickname in the trailer. I'm like, why don't you just stick with that? I mean, it's Conga.
Yeah, it's a blatant King Kong ripoff, and it looks really, really bad. But I did not see any extras on this one. This is a Kino Lorber release. I would assume there are some extras on that one, but I did not get a chance to. They weren't listed in the publicity thing, so I don't know if they were on there, or if you may have to check Amazon and see if there's a feature set there. Yeah,
maybe the extra should be a link to a $20 off coupon to buy the actual King Kong.
Yeah, maybe so. So that's it. Unfortunately, guys, not much to put on your Christmas list there, but there's other stuff coming. They'll start picking up as we get closer to Christmas, and of course, I'm sure there's gonna be some fantastic Blu-ray Black Friday deals out there. So.
Yeah, Best Buy had some good ones that you could already view now. In horror, I remember. I think The Curse of La Llorona was like $7.99. The Prodigy, I think, was on sale on that. I think one of the Annabelles was on sale. So there was some decent horror stuff on sale. So
nice. All right, guys. Well, let's get to our interview with the fantastic and fabulous Kelli Maroney. This is an interview that we worked hard to get for. Really, really excited to get that Brian lined up, and I was just super excited to have her on the show. And I thought it was a fantastic, fantastic interview. And now, right after that interview, we'll discuss Chopping Mall. So let's get right to it.
Okay, so if you grew up with all the classic films of the 80s like us, and you will be just as excited to hear from our very special guest. She has cheered for Ridgemont High. She has survived comet-induced cannibalistic zombies. And of course, she's defeated the Killbot security robots at the Park Plaza Mall. We are so pleased and honored to welcome to the show the legendary Kelli Maroney.
Well, thank you. Thank you for a lovely introduction. It's great to be here.
You're quite welcome. I rewatched Chopping Mall and Night of the Comet today, and you were fantastic as usual.
Oh, well, that was above and beyond. Appreciate that.
So first question, you are so memorable for playing a cheerleader, and it seems so natural. Were you ever a cheerleader in real life?
No, I was bad news. First of all, no, and then the first few parts that I played, I was a juvenile delinquent. I mean, I was a psychotic killer, teenage psychotic killer in my first thing, and then I was an evil Lolita on my soap opera. And imagine my surprise when I became first a cheerleader and then a final girl hero. Imagine my surprise.
That's awesome, though. So speaking of that, so how do you feel like being labeled a Scream Queen now? Now that you've had this like horror history there, do you feel like that title has changed over time?
No one can label you without your consent.
That is true.
Nobody likes the Scream Queen thing, but it's fan shorthand. What are you gonna do? Scream Queen is like Betty Davis is a queen. Jamie Lee Curtis is probably considered a queen. You know what? If you got queen in there somewhere, how can you really complain?
That's
right?
True.
And I am known for my scream. So, but some of these things just come to us, like many girls in the women in the horror genre that I know have fantastic screams. I can't imagine anybody doesn't have a fantastic scream if they're scared, but perhaps not. I don't know.
That's true. You kind of need that. That's kind of a key.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Kelli, let's get into Chopping Mall. First of all, can you tell us a little bit about how you got that role, and were you hesitant at all, or were you excited to do another horror movie after Night of the Comet?
I didn't really think of it in terms of another horror movie. Although, I mean, in retrospect, people think that you plan your career, and I mean, I didn't, and I didn't know anyone else who did. It's more like you took the roles that you got. It's not like, what shall I do now? We don't have that luxury. So you got to kind of bloom where you're planted, where somebody gives you an opportunity. So I didn't really think about that one way or the other. I was shooting a thing called The Zero Boys, and we were shooting at night. And so I went in, and they had seen Night of the Comet. And so that's why they were interested in seeing me for this one, for Chopping Mall. And, I was exhausted, so I was so relaxed. But then as I got callback after callback, I started to get nervous because I realized these are the Cormans. Oh, my gosh. I've heard of these people, even though I was pretty dumb. I had heard of these people. And finally, the director, Jim Wynorski, said, "Hey, what's the matter with you? You're so relaxed and so confident when I first met you." I said, I was tired, and now I got some sleep, and now I realize what's going on, and I'm nervous. So I almost didn't get it because there was another actress, and she didn't want to swear, and it's funny enough, I didn't end up swearing in the whole movie. But I guess in one of the earlier versions, there was swear. I must have said something. Oh, I did say, "Come here, come on, you little bastard." I don't really think of that even as swearing. But long story long, she didn't take the part, and so I got it. But she almost grabbed it away from me.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean these things happen. You just never know.
I just can't picture that because I mean I've been a fan of watching Chopping Mall since it was back on HBO back in the day, and it's like I can't picture anyone else in that role. That's crazy that it was almost not you in there.
Well, I don't know how close that actually was, and throughout the years, who knows? It becomes a legend, and then people elaborate on the legend. And I wasn't there, so I was not aware of it. So they could tell me anything, and I believe it. But I really think in a lot of ways that show business is kind of a spiritual and mystical journey. And I think if you're supposed to get something, you will get it, even if you're in Antarctica and don't have a phone. And if you're not supposed to get it, you can camp outside their door and make a fool of yourself, and you'll still not get it because it's not meant for you. So throughout over time, so I didn't lose my mind, I've developed a very Zen attitude towards the business. Like, I'm supposed to get it, I'll get it. If I'm not supposed to get it, then somebody else had a good opportunity, and you just got to keep moving. Otherwise, and a lot of people, it's only natural to take it personally, but you can't do it.
Yeah,
So-
no, but that's a good way to look at it for sure. So now, I guess technically in terms of horror tropes, I mean, they would consider you in this the final girl in Chopping
Right.
Mall. But to me, it's you didn't have the exact stereotype, especially the final girls at that time, because pretty much, usually you would have this character that would be frightened the whole time, and then at the last minute come up with this hidden strength or something to kind of defeat the villain. But in this, kind of pretty much once the killbots started attacking, you were kind of instantly like this badass, and with a great shot as was mentioned a couple times in the movie. So, but was that kind of always the way you wanted that character to be? And did you have any freedom to alter the character in some way?
Well, I mean, she would, if the director had wanted me to be more afraid or something, he certainly would have told me that, and I would have done it. I didn't, we don't have the luxury of I'm doing it this way, and this is the only way I want to do it. It's very much a collaboration. And if I was doing something that wasn't coming across as scared enough for them, they would most certainly tell me. But what made me a little bit different than a lot of other final girls was that I got mad. My characters got mad, and I think in life a lot of times when you're scared, your response to that out of survival is to get mad. You can't just lay down and die, so you better get mad. And I think that was something that I brought to it that's kind of my signature, I think, if there is such a thing.
Yeah, no, that's true. And it actually was kind of like that was kind of what was interesting about this movie. It was that, I mean, some people can call this just a slasher, but it's really way more to me. And, and the fact that, the victims, so to speak, were fighting back instantly as soon as they could, which is a little bit unique for that time period, because usually just like, line them up and kind of knock them down until the final person. But this was like everyone put up a fight, and it was kind of really made that stand out to me back in the day when I used to watch this.
I think that's a great point, and I think that's why the movie's kind of has endured, where a lot of slasher movies have not endured as well. And it's because it's hard to watch somebody terrified and then get killed. That's not entertaining for me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's scary and all that, but I think it's more fun to watch somebody win, because I think a lot of we play out our fears and stuff when we're watching movies. That's part of what they're for. And I think you want to feel like, I could survive this. Look at all the horrible things that are happening to these people, and yet they're surviving it. That means I can too, on some level.
That's
So
a great look at great way to look at that.
well, that's what and I think that's why people like Chopping Mall. I mean, no one was more surprised than I was to hear that people were still like loving Chopping Mall, and it was still a thing. And the audience, the theaters would fill up when we had a screening. I mean, we'd show up and we'd think, I can't imagine, and there they would be hanging from the rafters, and we were surprised. All of us were surprised, but I think that's why it endured. It was different. It was, yeah, we were scared, obviously, but we didn't really have time to be scared because we had to fight for our lives. And they did that on purpose. They wanted that thing to go like a house on fire. Very little time for sitting around reflectively and for walking around being scared. Like minimal time. There's some of that, but not very much.
Yeah, it is a really fast film.
Mhm. Yeah.
And when I was watching it back today, Kelly, and Chopping Mall and Night of the Comet, I was struck by how funny these movies are. They're very self-aware, and they have kind of this dark comedy to them. Were there any fun stories from the set of Chopping Mall, or anything?
Yeah, we did nothing but laugh. We had a great time. We made fun of everything. I mean, and Wynorski and his crew, they had a very sarcastic sense of humor, and for one reason or another, the cast was nobody was like the stick in the mud that had no sense of humor. We didn't have any of those people that I was aware of. Maybe they got fired the first day. I don't know. I was aware of everybody had a good sense of humor, and we were all really tired because, again, we're shooting all night long. The mall we didn't close the mall, so the mall all the stores would close, and then once they were closed, we could go in and set up and shoot. But by the time those stores were going to reopen for the day, we had to be cleaned up and out of there. That's how we shot it.
Wow.
So we didn't have a lot of time, and it was the middle of the night. And I mean, some of the actresses I've worked with have said, ever since we did those night shoots, I mean, people do like the craziest stuff, like psycho killer stuff, like they put tinfoil on their windows to keep the light out. And it does kind of mess with you. I don't know that I'm kind of a night owl, and I don't know that I would be had I not done so many night shoots. But I think it does it can. I'm sure that but then I get, that's not true. This is what you get for thinking while you're talking. Because if I had to be on set at 5:30 a.m., I'd certainly be there too. So maybe not. I don't know.
Well, I guess it worked for that one because that one was all night. So
yeah, we couldn't really tell. And it's nothing like having a rat beer and then driving home and realizing everybody else is on their way to work. And it's really weird. You just don't feel in step with the rest of the world. We had that a lot on Night of the Comet too.
Oh yeah,
and certainly on the Zero Boys, it was all at night.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So now we also know that you tend to do you'll do some horror cons, the horror con circuit, and I noticed I guess there's sometimes every so often you'll have some of these special screenings of both Chopping Mall and Night of the Comet. So like, how do you like those events? And how have the fans usually been encountered, and if you have any funny stories about them?
Well, I mean, I like them very much. It's not so much funny as it is. There's nothing like having done something, a long time ago and having somebody have grown up with it and tell you that it meant something to them. I mean, that's crazy fulfilling because acting is all about connecting. So somebody says, I watched that on my first date with this woman that's now my wife, I made her watch this, you know, or whatever it may be. Then you feel like, wow, I'm the whole thing of acting is, you know, we're all connected, and it's to bring that the magic and the thrill of that out. And so when you actually see it in action, somebody tells you you did it. Yeah, it's extremely fulfilling. It makes you feel like, okay, maybe I didn't always feel like that I was being effective, but I have irrefutable proof that I was, based on, you know, somebody telling me that it was, you know, that mattered to them. So I wouldn't say it's funny so much as it is very, very touching and fulfilling. I mean, you just really, you tear up. And I think most people do. You just feel so appreciated that you just feel like, I mean, you tear up. What can I tell you? It's very touching. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, and I know coming from the other side of it, we love going those things. So we love, you know, we as fans too love to meet and go to the to cons and special screenings and stuff where we can meet the people that we've, that we've kind of like watched over the years. It's so cool, you know, to us that you get to be and just, you know, we could just tell. I mean, I know we haven't met you at one of the cons yet, but you know, just talking to you now, you could tell it's just there's just something with the horror community. There's just something that this great interaction between the actors and the fans, and it just makes it really cool.
There's no other genre where it's more like a family. It's like a family of, I mean, back in the day, if you liked horror, now it's cool, so it's different. But if you liked horror, you found like 2 or 3 other people at your school or in your class or whatever that also liked horror, and you were weird together. So it's that kind of like a misfit family. I mean, we all sort of have that kind of feeling, and the people have the sweetest hearts. Like somebody will come up dressed like Pinhead or Satan or, you know, like whatever. It looks scary, and you say, "So what do you do in real life?" And they say, I work at an animal shelter, or I work at a hospice." I mean, they're the sweetest people. It's their alter ego, and I think horror in a lot of ways is where we purge that. It's very cathartic, and I think that it's more visceral than some of the other genres. Like, for example, you don't have any romantic comedy conventions. You know?
Yeah. At least I don't know of them. I don't know.
Yeah. And you don't. I mean, horror is the only thing that I know of. If a bad horror movie's on TV, you still watch it and you still enjoy it. You go, "Oh man, this is going to be bad. Okay, cool." You don't, I mean, if there's a bad relationship movie or drama, you don't sit there and watch it and go, "Okay, this is going to be cool." You go, "What else is on?"
Right.
So that's important. I mean, that says something. It's just different. And it's really great to see horror kind of like having its coming out party. And like I said, now it's cool. Now filmmakers go into it deliberately going to make horror, not just, well, I'm going to do this horror movie because it'll get me seen. It'll be like a calling card and I'll get my foot in the door. With real movies, it's not that way anymore. They want to do horror in the first place.
Well,
you can see the difference in the movies that are coming out because they're, you know, you can really, I mean, you could always tell somebody's heart and soul was in a horror movie, whether it worked or not. But now you can see that these people have really put their souls into what they're doing. And it just reads all over the place, I think.
Right. No.
so Kelly, for years we have heard rumblings of a Chopping Mall remake or reboot. And we're typically not fans of reboots for reboots' sake, but there are instances where a film could use an updating. So what do you think about the idea of a Chopping Mall reboot, and what would you change or what would you not change? Do you have any ideas on that?
Well, I mean, first of all, Corman owned it for a long time. And then since then, the rights have gone this way and that, but the writers own some of that too, and it's just not going to happen unless they give their permission. So anybody that comes along and tells you that they're going to do it, I will tell you right now, do not have their permission. And so it's. But I think that there is just something in the works, and I'm not really allowed to talk about it. But I think if it would be different, you know, and shopping has gotten so insane right now that there's plenty of different places for it to go. But also in the mall, because it's 1984 all over the place. There's a clip from Chopping Mall in the Wonder Woman 1984 teaser trailer. Barbara and I are in there waiting tables.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
1984 for Stranger Things, 1984 for American Horror Story. The mall has made a comeback. Let's face it. It doesn't have to be like, oh, malls are dead though. Not anymore. They're not.
No, in fact, they got that giant one opening up in New Jersey over there, that American Dream, which is kind of like a Mall of America type of thing.
Right.
And that's gonna, yeah. I mean, I still, yeah. There, to me, there was the mall never went away. I would always like going there, even if because who didn't grow up in a mall? I mean.
Well, it was kind of a ghost town for a while. And I used to, I mean, there were many, many years where I didn't drive to a mall and have to walk through the whole thing just to pick something up. And then now we have Amazon too, so there would probably have to be some evil drones,
Right.
involved with this as well.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. See, that's exactly where I would go. I think if I had like if anyone asked, like, if you're walking around, you get one of those surveys, like, if we did read Chopping Mall, what would you add? And I would totally say drones, because that's that's what's.
At least once a week, somebody sends me an article about a real life robot that will actually say, "Thank you, have a nice day."
So,
I'm
well,
not
they have
even
those
kidding.
supermarket ones. Those
Yeah, and they have them in the hotels too. They knock on your door and they say, "Thank you, have a nice day." It's the creepiest thing ever, because how did Wynorski and Steve Mitchell call the have a nice day thing?
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and that's why
all the time, and they say, "Kelly, you tried to tell them and they just wouldn't listen." I said, "I know."
And that was great when you had obviously that final line to say right back at them, which made that so cool. And I love the little echo that they put on that, where it's like this cool little echo. Yeah. That was awesome.
I really wanted to dominate that Killbot, and I wanted to make sure that I did. So I was real happy that they did that too.
Yeah, no, you killed it in that scene. No pun intended there, or pun intended, whichever way you want to look at that.
You can intend. That's a cool pun. It can be intended. Sure.
Okay, good. So I guess finally, to wrap things up, is there anything you want to share with our listeners that you have coming up role-wise, or with the Badass Cheerleader Productions?
Yeah. I have a movie coming out called Exorcism at 60,000 Feet, and it's a whole bunch of genre people trapped in an airplane and with the devil. It's a horror comedy with Adrienne Barbeau, myself, Lance Henriksen, Bill Moseley.
Oh my God.
Yeah, a whole bunch of I'm leaving people out, and that's in some sort of negotiation right now as to who's going to be the releasing person. So, and they're scared to death to tell us, and this is why, because you're talking to somebody on a podcast and you might spill the beans. So I don't honestly know, because even though I can be trusted, I can see why they do that.
Yeah. Well, that sounds awesome, by the way.
Yeah,
I'll just say that.
And then I'm in a festival film called Blowing Up Now. Gee, I wonder why they thought of me for this. I'm playing this guy's mom, and that's a romantic comedy, actually, about what would happen if the world was about to end. But I'm the guy's mom in that one, and it's got very good reviews. I think it's really, really a nice movie. And then I got one called A Well-Respected Man, and guess what happens in that one? Yeah, I know. Vic Garrick says to me, so in other words, when it's the apocalypse or the world's going to end, you're the first person they think of. I went, yeah, it's great. That and killer robots, I mean, you'd think that would be keeping me busier than it is even.
Well, we'd keep you on our apocalypse team for sure. I know that.
Thank you. And then I got a sci-fi thing about the 1990s, and it's called The Video Store, and it's also going to have an escape room with it when it comes out.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Like Twin Peaks and Men in Black, and it's very well done in terms of like all the little 90s touches. You're right back in the 90s. I was really impressed when I got on the set and I saw they put a pager in my purse, and I thought, all right, this is cool. And just today, I finalized. I agreed to do I was lucky enough to be offered and agreed to do an H.P. Lovecraft adaptation. And then I've got another thriller murder kind of, but also paranormal thing after that. I'm forget. Oh yeah, and then this is a fun one for me because I was a little concerned that as I got into my age range now, I'd be playing mom after mom, and there's a little bit to that, but also not every time, because now the roles for women are like the best ever. People say, well, when you get older, the roles aren't as good. That is no longer true. That's been turned on its head. Now, I would think that the roles for the younger girls, younger actresses would be young women. I shouldn't say that. Are not as good as the roles for the mature women because they're amazing. And then I just diverted myself from what I was telling you, but I just I did a thing where I play a cougar and I'm an alcoholic and I'm totally slutty and it's a comedy. So I mean I'm getting to do a lot of things I never got to do before.
That's
It's just
awesome.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we are excited, and we will obviously go see it, as we're big fans. We will make sure we get to see all of this. So
I'm on social media and I have, my website, KelliMaroney.com. I'm going to spell my name because when I was on True Blood, they misspelled this is a common thing. They misspelled my name in the credits too. So I just know people are going to misspell my name. So it's KELLI MARONEY. And I have a website and I have Facebook pages. I have a Facebook fan group and I have an actress Kelly Maroney page. And then on Twitter, I'm Kelly Maroney. And on Instagram, I'm Kelly Maroney. And I make it a point to let everybody know what I'm going to be doing, if I'm going to be doing a show or if something's going to be on streaming or like whatever it may be. I really make an effort to keep that all current and posted. So if you ever want to know what I'm doing, that's a good place to look.
okay, yeah, we do follow you on your socials, and I always try and make sure we share it because as being fans, we want to make sure that other fans get to know all that in case they didn't see it. So.
Thank you. That's so cool of you. I appreciate that because
Oh, of course, our
you know,
pleasure.
how long does a tweet last? It lasts like a minute and a half or something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Instagram's even shorter. So yeah, I don't know how we got involved in this social media thing, but we did, and now we have to do it.
Yeah, it's like the necessary evil. You have to just it's like I find myself being like and actually I find myself pretty much only using it for the podcast more than anything. Like my own social media, I hardly do anything with other than share Onion articles from time to time.
Well, yeah, because it can be time consuming, and all these articles they all come out with the goal in mind of showing you how you can do it in less time, because it can eat your life if you're not careful.
Yeah.
But in my case, part of my business is what I'm doing, which is weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of weird. If I post a picture of my cat, that is kind of what I'm doing. People like to feel like they know you and not just hear from you when you're trying to sell them a ticket to something.
Well, Tim does that too. Tim always posts his cats.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, you don't want to see when somebody's just advertising all the time as an actor.
Right.
People like to feel like you're communicating with them, other than, hey, buy a ticket to this movie. Hey, watch this TV show. It's like, no. Go away. You don't care.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for being on. I know you're busy. I mean, obviously you're busy. You got so many projects coming out. We're excited about those, but we're both huge fans, like we said. We just appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us tonight.
Thank you, and I appreciate being asked so much, and thank you for having me. And if you need me again, hopefully I have a little bit more time, and feel free because we're friends now. So.
Oh, that is awesome. Now you just made my day, and I'm all like, you can't see, but I'm like blushing and giddy and all. So, but yeah, and same to you. You anytime you want the new stuff comes out and you want us to get it out there as much as possible, we are whatever you need. Trust me.
Well, thank you. And my cheeks are a little warm too. So.
Oh.
There you go.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better. Not as embarrassed, but.
All right, Kelly, have a good night, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, have a great night. Thank you for everybody. Thanks for everybody for listening too.
Oh yes, they will. They were. That is. They will be. It will be a treat because it was a treat for us. So.
Thanks. Thank you. All right, I'll talk to you soon.
All right, so Brian, Kelly just seemed like just a fantastic, wonderful lady, and I really, really enjoyed talking to her about Chopping Mall and the movies she's been in.
Yeah, no, she was always. I was always been a big fan. I was definitely a little. Got that. I had said it in the interview. I got a little, like I blushed a little bit, in there at the when she was, saying the kind words to us, and it was just like it was such a thrill because, like, like that's like someone who grow up, watching all those movies, and you get to talk to them about it. It's just it was awesome, and she was is even more amazing than I thought she'd be amazing, but she even topped it.
Yeah.
Like a new level of amazing. So
yeah, that was awesome. So let's get right into our feature film, of course, Chopping Mall. What better movie to kick off Black Friday with than this one? Directed by Jim Wynorski, starring, of course, Kelly Maroney as Allison Parks, Tony O'Dell as Ferdy Meisel.
That's a real name, Ferdy. Who knew? Yeah.
Russell Todd as Rick Stanton, Carrie Emerson as Linda Stanton, Barbara Crampton, the great Barbara Crampton as Susie Lynn.
Yes.
Nick Segal as Greg Williams, John Terlesky as Mike Brennan, Susie Slater as Leslie Todd, Paul Bartel as Paul Bland, Mary Warnoff as Mary Bland, the fantastic and sorely missed Dick Miller as Walter Paisley, and Garrett Graham as Technician Nestler.
I had to include him, even though he had such a small role, because, of course, of his legendary performances as Beef in Phantom of the Paradise.
Yeah. Synopsis. A group of young shopping mall employees stay behind for a late-night party in one of the stores. When the mall goes on lockdown before they can get out, the robot security system malfunctions and goes on a killing spree. So, Brian, I know you were a huge fan of this movie growing up. This is one I was a relative latecomer to this movie. I think I saw it for the first time not too long ago because I mentioned it. I watched it first in last year's horror movie challenge.
That's right.
Or possibly the year before. It was one of those weird 80s movies that slipped through the cracks for me, but I became an instant fan of this film because it was fantastic.
Yeah, no, this is, to me, I mean, and it's funny because what I'm going to say this, I'm almost going to kind of contradict myself, but it had that, like, everything you loved about those classic 80 horror films. It had a lot of the same tropes, like, listen, you're going to, follow the rules of the horror movie. Listen, you're going to have sex, you're going to do drugs, you're going to die kind of thing. But it also, at the same time, had some blatant differences that kind of bucked that trend. Like, this group of victims, and we mentioned it in the interview too, this was not a group of victims that just stood by and got picked off one by one. They were faced with the antagonist, and they went right at them.
Yes,
right at it. They fought back from the moment they were felt attacked. They did not like just go sit off hiding around and just waiting to get picked off. No, they fought back, and so that was an interesting change at that point, but still managed to capture that traditional 80s slasher type feel, so it wasn't without being a traditional slasher, which I thought was one of its greatest achievements and charms.
Yeah, it was one of the things I loved about it. I mean, I think I mentioned in the interview was its sense of humor, because with a name like Chopping Mall, it could have gone one of two ways. It's either completely unaware of how cheesy and bad that sounds, or it's completely aware, and it's thankfully it's the latter. It definitely has a very tongue-in-cheek sense of humor about it, and it's very self-aware of the premise, and I think that's what makes it so great, because it's almost on some level, at some very subtle level, it's almost a parody of those 80s horror movies, while also being a genuine 80s horror movie. I don't know how to describe it.
That's kind of like kind of what I was trying to explain too. That's what makes this, I think, there may be people that just love this movie but have no reason, no particular reason why, and it could be just that, because it's hard to explain that, because how do you sound like you're contradicting yourself and you don't know what you're talking about, but it really is. It's got the classic 80s stuff, but while kind of almost like you said, tongue in cheek, almost a parody, but then it still manages to keep the same things that you love about it without it swaying to either side and just coming out a disaster. Like I even said, if you think about it, the premise and the name, like if you heard this, like you said, this you would immediately think this is going to be an unwatchable disaster.
Yeah.
But it's the exact opposite. It's so enjoyable, a complete fan favorite. I mean, the performances are all like just classic 80s greatness. It's like it's so much fun. And like even I mean, as we kind of touched on it in the interview with Kelly, she kind of totally goes against that final girl trope where I said where how a lot of times the final girl kind of just is kind of there cowering of kind of just being in the right place, right time, avoiding it, and then finding all the the dead bodies lined up, and then when there's no other choice has to fight back. But that's different in this. Like I said, they all fought back, but also Kelly particularly fought back and has skills with a one-line backstory there where she says her dad was in the Marines.
Yeah, which
so
I
it's
love.
Great.
Yeah. And if you guys have not seen the movie, basically the premise is this shopping mall buys these brand new robots. I think there's 3 of them, right? They're the Protector bots, and
very RoboCop-esque in the
yes,
beginning.
I was going to mention to you. These
sorry.
Protector. It brings up a point I wanted to make. These Protector killbots are going to replace traditional security guards in the mall, and they're going to patrol the mall after hours. And I guess there's a lot of break-ins at the mall apparently that they need to buy these expensive robots too.
I think it's either that or the director was such a visionary, he envisioned 20 plus years later that there was going to be a movie called Paul Blart Mall Cop 2.
I guess.
And
maybe that's it.
I think that's what happened.
But as you might expect, the robots go rogue. And that's how
instantly, pretty much.
Yeah.
Instantly with the lightning bolt.
Yeah,
but,
which was fantastic opening sequence where they're demoing these things. By the way, that's where you instantly set the tone of the movie is in these first couple minutes, and of course you got this group of teenagers that decided to hang back in the mall, which always was a dream of mine. I don't know if you were like that, Brian, but I think I got it from an episode of General Hospital. This is the craziest story. Do you remember Luke and Laura? I don't know if you didn't watch General Hospital.
No, I did. Yeah, I remembered the storyline. I didn't really watch the show, but Luke and Laura was.
Luke and Laura was.
You heard at the childhood.
Back in the 80s, in General Hospital had this storyline with Luke and Laura, and I remember watching it because my mom was hooked on this, and I would sit down and watch it because Sesame Street came on after General Hospital, so I had to watch General Hospital to get to Sesame Street. And I remember watching this thing, and there was a sequence where Luke and Laura hide out in a department store, I believe it was, after hours, and they hide, and then they come out after the store's closed. And I thought that was like the coolest thing ever. Like I've dreamed of like hiding somewhere in a store and waiting till it closed, and then you get to come out and just explore this big store. Not to be malicious or steal anything, just to be in a store after there's nobody in there. I thought that was just the coolest fantasy.
So before you go into that, do you want to know 2 random facts about Anthony Geary, who played Luke?
Yeah, of course I do.
Okay, well, 1, we both share the same birthday, May 29th.
Okay.
And he was also in another one of your favorite classic cheesy 80s comedies, UHF with Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah, that's right.
He played Philo, I believe. Yes, yeah. Philo was the character's name. So so there's my Luke / Anthony Geary trivia that probably the people who are listening to this right now are like, where did this podcast go?
I know.
It was on such a high note. You had a Kelly Maroney interview. You're talking about Chopping Mall, and then they went into General Hospital. And
oh my God, we're getting old, Brian. My birthday is tomorrow. I'm getting old.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah.
You know what? I knew it was this next week or so, but I didn't remember the exact date. So happy early birthday! But of course, I was gonna tell you tomorrow because I do have a birthday reminder thing that sends me things.
It's fine.
So I would have known.
I just mentioned it because I'm getting old, literally. So so that was my big dream, is to hide out in a department store. I thought that was the coolest thing. So that's what happens here. These kids hide out in a department store, not realizing that there's killer robots on the prowl. And that's where the story takes off from there. But as you were saying, Brian, the RoboCop reference. Oh my God, RoboCop had to have gotten influenced by this movie. There's no way it did not.
Yeah, whether they admit it or not.
Now, I have not looked at any kind of RoboCop trivia or commentaries or anything that talks about any connection between these two films, but RoboCop was 87. Chopping Mall was what, 84?
86.
Okay, 86. Now, I'm not saying that. They may have been virtually filming at the same time for all I know. I don't know. And sometimes ideas come up, simultaneously among people.
Right.
But my gosh, does this have a RoboCop feel to it?
Yeah, especially that opening sequence to me with a training video, and that's just that, like, that whole thing about that time period, when it was like that. It was almost like Starship Troopers had that, remember? Want to know more? Like that whole, like, that kind of weird thing they did in the 80s, even though Starship Troopers was way later, but it kind of, went back, of course, to capture that. And of course it,
Yeah, but like you said, the whole sense of humor that was used also in RoboCop, kind of in a more darker way. But the whole vibe just feels very RoboCopian, if that's a word.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Paul Verhoeven, obviously, because he did both Starship Troopers and RoboCop, he probably has a liking for that type of thing. So I'm wondering if he, maybe who knows, maybe he could be a secret super Chopping Mall fan, and he got inspired right before he filmed RoboCop, and he did it.
I don't know. I don't know the filming schedule. I'm not claiming that they have anything to do with each other. I'm just saying that the vibe you get. I mean, when you watch Chopping Mall, it's very. It feels I should say RoboCop feels a lot like Chopping Mall because it came afterwards.
Well, no, but now we've kickstarted the ultimate retro team up or versus film of RoboCop versus Chopping Mall.
Oh man, that would make a great comic. You know how they do that in the comics because it's too expensive to film.
Well, it would technically be Killbot because that was what they were original title of Chopping Mall was. And so maybe that's maybe what they're known by. They're known as the Killbot. So RoboCop versus Killbot. There you go. That right there. There's a Kickstarter right there. Our first ever Civil War comic.
Yeah,
will be that.
Or if you're the dad from Goldberg's, they're Killer Robots.
Robots.
Killbots.
Moron. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that show Goldberg's. I can watch that all the time.
Yeah, I do watch it all the time because my kids are hooked on it.
That's true. I watch it weekly.
So. I don't know. The fantastic movie. Like I said, great sense of humor, great kills, great. I mean, it's got robots, it's killer robots. I mean, what can I say? It's a lot of fun, and I had just as much fun watching it the second time as I did the first. And like we mentioned in the interview, and Kelly even mentioned it too, this movie does not slow down for anything. I think it's like 77 minutes or something.
Yeah, it's short. It starts off with a bang and goes right to the last frame of nonstop something is going on. It's like it moves. The pacing on this is there's not like a wasted scene. It's like every scene has like a boom, 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 boom. Like setting up everything. Every scene has a place. It's like, and it's kind of funny. What's another cool. I think it kind of reminds me of what you said. I meant to jump in when you were saying this before about the fantasy of the mall. I'm wondering if that's kind of what made this so popular as well. Not just the fantasy of being the mall, but the fantasy of these characters. Like, who wouldn't want to like kind of be in this, like, not that you want to be in a life or death battle ever, but if you're in there like fighting like off like robots in a mall, or like like Red Dawn, that movie, like it's almost like that kind of thing. It's like high school or college kids are set in battle now, and they're put into a battle. I mean, it looks fun because you used to play that stuff, like you used to play that in the neighborhoods, you pretended like with laser tag came out or something, and so it's like, and that was like they got a real life, and so maybe maybe there's that little like, wow, that looks kind of fun kind of thing, even though they're fighting for their lives. Well,
I'll tell you another inspiration from that, the whole being in a place you're not supposed to be after hours thing. There was a novel, I don't know if you had to read it in school, Brian. It's called From the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler.
I've heard of it. I've never read it, though.
It's by E.L. Konigsberg. We had to read it in school when I was in elementary school, and it's such a fantastic book. And if you guys out there have kids, I would highly recommend it. It's an older book, but it's about these two kids who get they hide out in the Metropolitan Museum of Art after hours, or while it's closed for a week. And so they have to survive in this museum after hours. And it's such a cool book because, again, Brian, you might like it because it's set in New York City and at the Met. But I just loved it because I thought it was so cool. Like, they're stealing coins out of the fountain for money for the vending machine so they could eat. I mean, it just was such a cool thing because kids, always think about running away or how would you survive without your parents, that kind of stuff. So it's another little bit of inspiration I think I got when I was watching this movie. That's all I could think of was how cool would that be when I was smaller to hide out in a mall after hours kind of thing. And this was like Kelly mentioned, this was in an actual mall after hours, so it wasn't a set.
Yeah, it really was. They had to film it at night, and so yeah.
Speaking of which, I guess we should go through some of the trivia here because that was actually our first bit of trivia. Because they did have to set up and tear down before the mall opened the next morning, and this one said that the head of security did not like the filmmakers because he thought they were already tearing stuff up.
Yeah. They did not. They had explosions. They were destroying scenery, breaking every window. In this mall.
There was actually funny. We said there was 3 killbots. There was actually 5 built that were remote controlled. And they had to have 3 because there's the sequence of the first part of the film. There's 3 at one in the demo. The guys do it. There's 3 on stage.
Right. Yeah,
they had to have
on
3
the stage.
And they were most of what you see on screen. They said were actually remote controlled robots or robots.
That's cool.
This was actually filmed in the Sherman Oaks Galleria, which was the same mall used in Commando, which is kind of cool.
I think it was also there was the way the trivia came. There was I meant to put it next to it, but there was another thing. Oh yeah, so the Sherman Oaks Galleria was also where Fast Times was filmed. So Kelly Maroney, technically 2 Kelly Maroney movies were filmed in this mall.
Oh, that's interesting. Nice.
Yeah.
Now, this one I thought was really fascinating. So, the movie was originally theatrically released in March 1986 under its original title, Killbots. It performed poorly during its initial release because the producers felt the movie's title might have disinterested audiences who might have thought it based on the original movie poster that it was like a Transformers-type cartoon instead of a horror film. So, after a while, they re-released it on video under its new title with over 15 minutes cut. So I did not know that this movie was never released theatrically as Chopping Mall. It was Killbots.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
I knew about the original title Killbots, but I thought it never made it even to that title. But so check that out.
I'm kind of skipping through some of these because there's a lot of trivia.
Yeah. I put a lot on there because I wanted to give us a good option.
Of course, Kelly Maroney did most of her own stunts. That's not surprising after talking to her. She seems like she would be totally willing down for that.
Yeah, and she did some stuff. I mean, she's constantly running at full speed. She's she's falling off like levels of the mall. She's like all over the place.
There were talks of a sequel at one point, which unfortunately never happened.
No, but she kind of alluded there's something going on. We don't know what yet, though.
This was kind of funny because it references one of my favorite 80s movies of all time, Short Circuit. So one of the robots gets struck by lightning, which of course starts all this killing and everything. And obviously in Short Circuit, Johnny Five got hit by lightning. That's how he became sentient. So...
no, disassemble number 5.
Hey, laser lips.
That movie, I can't even tell you how many times I watched that movie.
I love
it. Like my brothers, when they were kids, that was one of their favorites. We literally watched that movie about. It would not shock me that if I watched it 1,000 times, literally.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that was literally one of my all-time favorite movies growing up in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Short Circuit. Short Circuit 2, not so much, but
no,
Short Circuit,
not at all.
Short Circuit 1 was freaking awesome.
Yes.
I still do the need more input stuff, like when I'm reading something really fast.
Yeah, no, and the soundtrack was classic, and the cast, there's such a great group of look at Ali Sheedy, Steve Guttenberg, E.G. Bailey, I forgot that guy, the one that played, the Is that the nervous scientist guy that was
the nervous scientist guy? Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I forgot his name. And Fisher Stevens was amazing. I mean, yeah, that was great.
So I'm looking through some of this other trivia here. At least 2 different versions of the film exist, which is interesting. The TV cut has some extra footage, such as a small homage to Attack of the Crab Monsters, which is also what they are watching at one point in the Kelly Maroney and her date are watching at one point in the movie.
Ferdy.
Yeah, which is also a Corman production, so that's another piece of trivia. And it's got some extended scenes of them watching TV, some aerial shots, and an extension of one of the Ferdy and Allison scenes. And no official source offers this version, so that's lost to history. Maybe somebody out there has it on VHS.
Because I have the great disc of it, and it doesn't even have that on there. So yeah, kind of a bummer.
Mike?
Oh, well, I guess we should go through the ones that like the all the little in jokes in there, like. So.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, because so Dick Miller, Mary Warrenoff, and Paul Bartel all played the exact same characters in other movies, such as Bucket of Blood and Eating Raoul, where Mary Warrenoff and Paul Bartel played the Blands, which they actually you could see on their name tag. It said Bland was their name, and then Dick Miller was actually the same character. Walter Paisley was from that movie, so from Bucket of Blood. So that was really cool how they did that. Because it was such a weird little reference to throw in there, but it's kind of cool that they did that for all those.
Yeah, and I'll put this final one in here just because I love this movie. Mike says to one of the robots when it asks him for his ID card,
"Oh yeah,
Klaatu Barada Nikto," which is taken from The Day the Earth Stood Still from 1951. Those were the words needed to deactivate the giant robot Gort. That's a fantastic movie if you guys have never seen the original. Day the Earth Stood Still.
No, and the best part, by the way, by just speaking of John Terlesky, like that one scene, he had to have the most 80s like line ever when he's just sitting there, and they're like, "Did you got the beer right?" And he's just chewing the gum. He's like, "Dude." Like he said, it's like the fridges fall. Just the way he does. I can't even imitate because he does it so well. It's like the gum chewing.
It's one of those magic moments, like fruit, please. It's just one of those things. Like it's just an innocent line, but it's said in some way that just strikes you.
It is. Yeah, and it's like I always remembered that one in there. And then actually speaking of how fruit please reminds me of because like you and Kevin used to laugh at that, and me and Mark used to laugh at that. But there was actually one another sequence in that movie. So one time I remember Mark had come over. We were watching TV and Chopping Mall came on, and my friend Doug had told us about it. He's like, "You got to see this movie, Chopping Mall." So it was on. And, Mark and I we would always laugh really loud. And, we were downstairs and my dad's like, you guys got to be quiet, because at this point, I think it started at like 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night. My dad was trying to go to sleep upstairs. And the sequence where now Mark and I laugh at a lot of stupid things, and especially like slapstick things. And the scene where the robot picked up that like, air, I think it was the oxygen tube or something, and threw it, and it sent Tony O'Dell flying. He laughed so hard, which then woke my dad up, and he came careening down the stairs to scream at us. And then he saw what we were watching on TV, just like shook his head in disgust that we were watching this movie. And so it always has that, like, and that was the first time I had ever seen it. So the first time watching Chopping Mall always has like such a great moment, and I loved it ever since. And I think I loved it more that we got my dad upset.
Yeah.
Woke him up during that scene. But yeah, ever since that, I've always been such a fan of that. I've loved that movie. I literally had it on VHS. I had it on DVD. I've upgraded to Blu-ray. So I have it in all formats, and I think if they ever came out with whatever if they had a hologram version, I think I'd own that too, because
nice. Yeah,
it's definitely one of my all-time favorite horror movies.
Yeah, I'm sorry I came upon it so late in life, because I really, really love this movie, and it's definitely one of my favorites.
It's never too late to go to appreciate. I mean, look at some of the ones just this podcast has discovered us, like Spider Baby.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and that, like, most people like, guys, that's been like our favorite for years, and then like we've discovered it like 3 years ago. So, I mean,
but you can't watch everything. I mean, unless you're just really, really hardcore, and life gets in the way sometimes. When I would, like I said, when there was times like in college where I just wasn't watching movies. I was off doing other things and working, and you just can't.
You
see
were off running around a mall,
exactly,
fighting robots.
Yeah, so there's there's always reasons why, unless you're just a completely hardcore lifelong film nerd, you're probably not going to. And even those guys haven't seen everything, so there's always something to discover out there, and that's what's wonderful.
That is true.
All right, Brian. So, what did you come up with our beer pairing this week for Chopping Mall?
Yes. So this one I think works well. It could also be if we do the inevitable, I think, short circuit episode after this. And it's called Laserbeard, and it is a tropical stout. It's by Mad Robot or Mad Robot, depending on if it's the Goldbergs, of course. Brewing company out of Boca Raton, Florida. 6%. So it says a tropical stout doesn't mean that it's brewed with tropical fruit or coconut. This style was made popular in the West Indies. Brewed with molasses and fermented with a lager yeast at a high temperature, this beer remains dry and refreshing for a stout. Notes of chocolate and fruits without the burnt roastiness of most stouts.
Oh, I'd like to try that. I've never had a tropical stout.
Well, my mom goes to Florida all the time, so I might. So if we go to visit her, I may be able to grab some for us.
Nice. All right, so our triple threat. You guys have been waiting a while on this one.
Yeah, we got one answer for sure. I remember.
Yeah, so this is we were looking for a movie, which is kind of a rarity. We don't often look for movies, and we were looking for the movie Castle Freak. So clue number 1: while this movie is only just over 20 years old, there's already a remake soon to be released. And, of course, Castle Freak remake is being shot and will be released sometime next year in 2020.
Yes, produced, of course, by the great Barbara Crampton.
Yeah. And
star of the original.
I cannot wait, because that was a great movie, and I can't wait to see the remake.
Yeah. And that was another one I discovered way late because this podcast, you had recommended it.
Yeah.
And I saw it. So
clue number 2: during the production of this film, the director was gifted a bottle of vodka from the Pope as a blessing. Stuart Gordon, during the production of this film, was gifted a bottle of vodka by the Pope as a blessing. Contrary to popular belief, this was not out of concern for the movie's audience, but as a favor for a mutual friend of Gordon's and the Pope, a man now known only as the Disco Priest. I'd love to hear the story behind this.
I know, right? That's like a character that I think we would make up.
Yeah, that's not something you say and then not fill in the background. I mean, come on. Don't leave us hanging there.
Yeah, there was a guy I met. I don't remember what it was, where I remember him from, but he was at some kind of event. I think it was at a bar or something, and he was like the Galactic Rabbi or something, and he was like a musician, but I don't know why he was called the Galactic Rabbi. Or I think maybe that's what I always thought he was. Maybe it's something else, something Rabbi.
Yeah.
But he was a weird musician that used to play. I'm trying to look for him now, but I can't find it. Maybe it was like Gangster Rabbi. I don't know. It was something like that, but he was funny. So anyway, it sounds like that, like a made-up character like that. So.
Clue number 3, this was loosely based off a Lovecraft tale, one which I have read. Castle Freak was based slightly on H.P. Lovecraft's short story, The Outsider. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So add that to your list of Lovecraft-inspired movies.
Okay, so by the way, I did find out it was a guy named Steve Lieberman, and he was known as the Gangsta Rabbi, the king of Jewish punk. As if that was I didn't realize it was a kingdom to have a king of Jewish punk, but yeah.
Interesting.
So anyway, and look at that. He resides in Freeport, Long Island, which is not too far away. Apparently, he's still performing now.
Nice.
So,
well, this week we're looking for an actor or actress, and listen up carefully because here are your 3 clues. Clue number 1. Although it's puzzling to think that my first 6 roles were uncredited, you still probably saw me in them. Clue number 2. I once appeared in a movie with Joe Pesci. We also played the same character in 2 separate films. And clue number 3. I once donated my own blood to help promote one of my films. Who am I?
I think this is a good one.
This is a good one.
Nice level of trickiness. I think clues 1 and 3 are probably the ones that might be the way to get you started.
Yeah, I think this one's a moderate difficulty. It's not too easy, not too hard. I think it plays it right down the middle. I like this one.
Yeah. I was proud of this one.
All right, so let's get to our Zabmondo.
Yeah, and I got to pick a good one that obviously, because Tim loves the ones that involves eating, so I'm going to find one of those.
Nothing with drinking my own spit, please.
Yeah, no, I won't do that. Let's see. Oh, damn it. There was a really good food one, though. And it's Thanksgiving. We should do
Oh, you can do a food one. Just, yeah, that's fine.
All right, then I'm doing this one. Are you ready?
I don't think so, but I'll go for it.
Yeah, this one's not going to go well for you, but okay, it says, would you rather drink liquid found leaking from a garbage bag or chew on a hairy substance found between the cushions of your couch?
Oh my gosh. I think this one, as disgusting as it sounds, I think I'm going to go with the liquid from the garbage bag.
Wow. See, but see, here's the thing. I know that neither one is going to make us look good, whatever we pick. I think I do the chew on the hairy substance just because you're chewing it. You're not ingesting it. The liquid is going into you. It says drink liquid. The other one just says chew on it, so you could chew on it and then spit it out.
Okay, on a technicality, I'll give you that. I was just thinking, in my couch cushions, it's going to be cat hair and people's hair. And I just can't stand the thought of chewing on that. Whereas whatever's in my garbage bag liquid is probably, if it's not been in there too long, is probably just edible food and juices. That is not.
That's true.
I don't know. It depends on how long that garbage bag's been sitting there, I think.
Yeah, and then again, also, it does not specify. This is one of those loophole ones because it does not specify it's your garbage bag.
That's true.
It does say your couch, but it does not say your garbage bag.
Made me change my answer then. At least I know whose hair I'm chewing on.
Yeah, see, I'm not trying to be like a pain in the butt about this. Literally, it's just I'm looking at this literally. Yeah. It says from a garbage bag, but your couch. So
I'm gonna have to change my answer, Brian. I'm gonna have to go with the couch then.
Yeah,
because that hair-like substance may also be just part of the couch cushion.
Yeah, it said hair-like substance. It didn't say hair.
It might just be lint.
Too many.
It's just dust bunny. That might not be too bad.
That's what I'm saying. It's like there's enough unknown in that second one.
All right, we're gonna escape on a technicality with that one.
Yeah, well, listen, like it's in your favor if you think about it. It's like you at least know it's your couch, and whatever this hair-like substance is, it's something you know and have encountered and possibly chewed on already. For what we know, it's a hair-like substance. Ugh. It did not necessarily say hair. So, yeah.
All right, so we're going to wrap this Thanksgiving episode up. We do have a couple bit of sad moments. I guess we should go ahead and knock those out, Brian.
Yeah.
We
because we don't want to put it in the beginning like we normally do, because we knew this was going to be kind of a fun episode, but we did not want to go through the episode without mentioning these.
Yeah, because I didn't want to start on a sad note, and I didn't want to end on a sad note, so we'll put them right here. But of course, you guys know that Michael J. Pollard passed away, sadly. He was most famous probably for his role in Bonnie and Clyde, but he was also in many horror films.
Horror fans know him for things, like House of a Thousand Corpses, Sleepaway Camp 3, of course, one of your brother's favorites of all time, Dick Tracy.
Yeah, he was in an episode of Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, great character actor, and just, so one of those, he was one of those people that, like, I know this sounds weird, but you ever, like, just stumble up, you're watching a movie and you're not sure where it's going to go, but then you see, like a person like a Michael J. Pollard and say, you know what? It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
He's in this movie. It's weird to say, but I think that's kind of one of the things I used to get for it. It was like a comforting kind of
he was. I think he was instantly recognizable. He just had one of those faces that's just fantastic for character actors.
Yeah, and he had that unique voice. He just so I mean, it was one of those things where it's like there's certain.
It was like eating mac and cheese. Like when you saw that, it was like, oh, you're home now. You're comfortable.
Yeah.
So he was a comfort actor.
Yes, a comfort. That I think we should coin that term. I don't think that I've ever heard that, but I like it. It's really what it is. He's like one of those comfort actors where it's just like, now you're going to be okay with this movie no matter how bad it is.
Yeah.
Could be great, could be bad, but you know what? You're going to be okay, and you got a Michael J. Pollard in it. So, and he's definitely a sad loss.
Yeah, and I'll let you take this next one, Brian, because this was a very, very sad and tragic instance that happened, I guess, a couple of weeks ago now.
Yeah, and it of course, not to diminish or make this any smaller, because this does affect everybody in the world too, but there was a horror connection to this. the Saugus school shooting in California, the Santa Clarita, I believe. There were I believe two fatalities and three injuries, and one of the injuries, unfortunately, was one of our friend of the show, Tiffany Shepard's daughter. So she's recovering. Apparently, though, sadly, and I shared this on social media, the link to the GoFundMe. Because tragically, her best friend was one of the fatalities. So it's just a horrible story to begin with. But then, when you somehow someone indirectly that it's touched, it kind of it makes it a little even harder. And so, while I know she's recovering physically, something like this takes a long time to recover mentally. So we just wish the best to Tiffany's daughter and the whole family, really, and all the families and victims of just another one of these just senseless tragedies. And it's just so frustrating to hear these things. But yeah, so we just wanted to mention it. We don't want to, go too much. We did share that. I did share the GoFundMe if you want to support some of the families that suffered from it. But yeah, so we just wanted to mention that. So Tiffany, if you're listening, we're sending the best to you and your family.
All right, guys. So we're going to finish things off on our annual, I believe, Thanksgiving, giving thanks to what we're thankful for this holiday season.
Yes.
And I guess I'll start off, Brian. And for mine, it was kind of like, this is just my non-heartwarming thankfulness.
Yeah.
Was the abundance of content out there to be able to see, like we talked about earlier in the show, to be able to find these movies from our childhood, or movies that have been lost that maybe aren't going to ever get a Blu-ray release or a VHS release, but streaming services like Shudder and Amazon Prime have put them out there that we can get these, or YouTube, and we can get these and watch them and appreciate them and keep them alive for other generations. I think that's just awesome that we live in an age where this stuff is literally at our fingertips. I mean,
right. And you can share with your kids, and and I could share with my niece and nephew as they get a little older. It's just some stuff that that you held so fondly that you can now share with another generation is fantastic. And back when we were the kids, literally, do you remember? I don't know if you remember, but when we were talking with David Weiner about this, where the King Kong would come on Thanksgiving Day, once a year, and you'd have to wait all year to watch it on TV.
Yeah,
and it's
crazy
because you didn't have your own version. Now you can own it, stream it, at any point in your day. And so it's literally on your phone if you wanted to. And I never thought we'd see that. I remember when the portable DVD players were the best thing in the world, that I could bring my movie with me, and now I could literally don't even need that, and I could watch it on my phone.
Yeah, it's incredible. We live in an amazing age, and sometimes we lose track of that. I mean, we don't think about where we get so burned out on social media and stuff, and we talk about how frustrated we are with electronics and stuff, but just think what a miracle that is that we have in our pocket that we're carrying around. It's just really amazing. And then for my more, more sappy thank you would definitely be my family, my wife Olivia, who allows me to do this podcast once a week, and it's just a saint when it comes to letting me pursue my hobbies and interests. And the kids, of course, are just fantastic. I couldn't be a more proud dad than I am of those two kids. They're just phenomenal in every way, and yeah, your family is what allows you to do stuff like this and support you through stuff like this. So I'm thankful that they give me the opportunity to do this podcast, do one of the things I love doing and sharing and creating content. And it's been a blast. It's been a great year. I'm hoping for a really fantastic year next year. Hoping to buy a new house and start a new chapter in our life. So very much looking forward to 2020 and what it has in store.
Nice. Yeah, and of course, I'll obviously mimic those the sentiments too. I mean, and with thankful for Julie that she just, the podcast is way more time consuming you think. I mean, you guys hear like the 1 to 2 hours of it, but and I'm not trying to like, say like, oh, we're so hardworking, but we do dedicate a lot of time, and then that time is spent away from Julie and I being able to possibly do something else or, go somewhere. And I'm sitting on the couch watching a movie. I mean, I try and do it when she's at work, on Saturdays, but then there'll be some times when I just don't get to, and I'm doing something else, and I'm, like sitting on my computer, like working on a rundown or searching, I was bad enough on social media, but now I'm constantly on there, trying to retweet stuff and look stuff out and look stuff up. And so it's like, she is a complete saint and puts up with that and my horror movie purchases now, which my shelf is just like overflowing and all these things, and she's just so supportive about that. And so that's a huge thing, of course, just family and friends in general. But and now a more general one I want to give out, of course, is to all of our the horror community in general, our listeners, our social media friends in the community, fellow podcasters. I mean, that just, we're always supporting each other. We're always sharing stuff with each other. I mean, all our guests that we had on this year, and we might have another couple lined up before the end of the year, and just all the people that like helped us, whether they realized how little or much they've helped us. It could be just a random retweet of us that like completely made our day, or a like of something that we posted, because that feels like, wow, someone's out there listening and stuff. So yeah, so thanks to everyone out there. And one final thank you, of course, to my gracious co-host who puts up with my ramblings. And and just obviously one of someone who I'm so proud to call one of my closest friends and collaborators. And we kind of, you sit back to the time when we just kind of randomly sitting there at Cedar Point saying, hey, we should do a horror movie podcast. And now to find out 3 years later where it's at, is just, something you have to be thankful for, because I never thought where we were in season 1 was where I thought we'd be in season 3, in all honesty, maybe a little bit more polished on the the audio and stuff. But now that we're, doing these interviews and just getting such great content and going to cons and getting screeners, and it's just, I couldn't ask. So thank you, Tim, for being such a great co-host and partner in this venture.
Oh, right back at you, bud. And I actually described Brian to somebody the other day. I don't remember the circumstances. I don't remember the circumstances, but I was telling somebody about you, Brian, and I said, literally one of the nicest human beings I've ever met. And I truly, genuinely mean that. He's just one of the nicest people that you're ever going to run across. So, thank you too, and I hope you guys have a fantastic
right back at you.
holiday. Yeah. Yeah, so,
yes.
So guys, we will be back next week, barring any future illnesses.
Yes, I have already taken an emergency this week because we can't form another break.
No. So we will be back next week. And look out for that survey on social media so we can pick our next Christmas movies that we're going to do. I think we have one that we're definitely going to do, and then we got 3 that we're going to let you guys decide. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait, because I don't think the ones we have on our list for the survey, I don't think I've seen any of those.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to put those up there, and we'll see what you guys come up with. Hopefully you'll pick us some good ones.
Yeah, so guys, again, thank you so much for listening. You guys keep the show running, because otherwise we're just talking into an empty void, and we have no idea who's out there. So we appreciate all your feedback, your emails, your tweets, everything, your likes and stuff on Facebook. So really, really appreciate that. Keep it coming. Keep interacting. We're always happy to talk to you guys and answer questions. And we'll see you back here next week. And remember, stay out of the mall on Black Friday, because there could be some kill butts out there.
Yes. And remember, Tim, Marie's going to do the turkey and I'll do the cranberry. Gobble, gobble.